The galaxy was quiet, peaceful, at least for now. The ruling alien empires, each with their mighty fleets and advanced technology, had no reason to worry. But then the alert came. A strange signal, sharp and clear, pierced through the vast silence of space. A single human warship had entered a controlled sector, and it was heading straight toward one of the most powerful alien empires in the galaxy, the Zerosian Dominion. At first, the leaders of the Dominion laughed at the report. A human war vessel? Impossible. The humans had never been a threat to anyone. They were a young species, still struggling with their own internal wars. Their technology nothing compared to the mighty fleets of the Zerosians. The message was quickly dismissed as an error. It had to be some sort of mistake. But then, the ship moved closer. Its massive, dark shape appeared on their sensors. The Zerosian leaders gathered around the central command console, looking at the blinking red lights. There was no mistake. The human ship was real, and it was coming closer, faster than anyone had expected. "Prepare the fleet," said Commander Valar, the leader of the Zerosian forces. His voice was calm, but his eyes narrowed as he stared at the screen. He didn't believe the humans had anything that could challenge the Zerosians, but he knew better than to underestimate anyone. The galaxy was full of surprises. The ship's appearance was strange. It wasn't like the sleek, powerful vessels the Zerosians were used to. Its design was jagged, almost primitive. The human ship was dark, with sharp angles, like a predator moving through the void. Its massive hull absorbed the light around it, making it blend into the blackness of space. It didn't look like a ship of peace. It looked like a weapon. For hours, the Zerosian fleet waited. They could see the human vessel coming closer, but it never increased speed. It just moved forward, steady and unrelenting. It didn't send any signals, didn't attempt any communication. The ship simply came, closing the distance between them and the Zerosian Empire. "Is it an attack? Or just a lost ship?" Valar asked, still skeptical. He knew humans didn't have the capability to challenge the Dominion, but something about this felt wrong. His gut told him to prepare, to be ready. And so, he ordered the fleet to move into position. As the human warship entered their space, the Zerosians moved to block it, expecting the ship to turn away or surrender. But it didn't. It kept coming, as if it had no fear. It was only when they were just a few thousand kilometers away that they noticed something strange. The human ship didn't seem to be making any efforts to avoid the fleet. It was heading straight toward them. Valar's patience was running thin. He gave the order to fire. "Fire all weapons. Destroy the ship," he commanded. The Zerosian fleet, with its advanced weapons and overwhelming power, opened fire on the human vessel. Massive blasts of energy and laser beams shot out, filling space with light and chaos. The aliens thought it was over. The human ship would be destroyed in seconds. But then, something unexpected happened. The human warship didn't explode. It didn't even slow down. The blast simply disappeared. The Zerosians watched in shock as the human vessel kept moving forward, unharmed, untouched. "Impossible," Valar whispered. The Zerosians fired again, this time with every weapon in their arsenal. But the same thing happened. The blasts vanished before they could reach their target. It was as if the human ship had become part of the void itself, slipping through the universe without a trace. The alien fleet was thrown into chaos. They couldn't understand what was happening. Nothing they did had any effect on the human ship. The Zerosians were used to dominating their enemies, but this was something new. "We've got to get closer." "Fire at point-blank range," Valar ordered, his voice steady, though a flicker of doubt crept into his mind. The fleet closed in, every weapon ready to strike, but the human ship still didn't react. It simply kept coming, faster now. The Zerosians were at a loss. What kind of shit could withstand everything they threw at it? And then, as the human warship entered the heart of their fleet, the ship suddenly split apart. No, it multiplied. The single vessel turned into dozens, each one just as powerful as the last. They spread out across the battlefield, each ship a mirror image of the other, all of them impossible to track. Valor stared in disbelief. How was this possible? How could a single human ship have done this? It didn't make sense. There was no technology in the galaxy that could create such an illusion. Not even the Zerosians could make something like this. The fleet was in complete disarray. The human ships attacked from all angles, overwhelming the Zerosians in a matter of minutes. The aliens fired back, but it was useless. Their weapons couldn't reach the target. The human ships vanished and reappeared, appearing in different places at once, leaving the Zerosians confused and defeated. In the chaos, Commander Valor realized the truth. This was no ordinary human ship. The humans had developed something far beyond their understanding. A weapon. A warship that could not be defeated. As the battle raged on, Valor saw his fleet crumble. One by one, his ships were disabled, their systems rendered useless by the mysterious power of the human ships. The Zerosians had never faced anything like this. They had never thought a species like humans could do such a thing. It wasn't just the power of the ship that surprised them, it was the humans themselves. They fought with a kind of relentless determination that the Zerosians had never seen before. There was no fear in their hearts. They fought like they had nothing to lose. And as the battle wore on, Valor began to realize that perhaps the humans were not as weak as they had believed. In fact, they were far stronger than anyone had imagined. And so, as the last of the Zerosian ships fell, Valor watched helplessly. The human warship had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The war was only beginning. The galaxy had been calm for centuries, with no major conflicts between the powerful alien empires. The great civilizations of the universe had long ago found peace, or so they thought. But everything changed when a mysterious signal reached the core of the Galactic Council. A human warship had entered a remote sector of space, and it was heading straight toward the heart of the Vrillon Empire. This was no ordinary ship. This was a human vessel, something the aliens hadn't encountered in hundreds of years. They knew the humans were a young and primitive race, but they never expected them to send a warship so deep into alien space. At first, the Vrillon leaders didn't take the warning seriously. Humans had never been a threat. The ship was too small, too weak, too far behind technologically to challenge them. But the more they looked at the readings, the more confused they became. The ship was moving faster than it should, and there was something strange about the way it was traveling. "The human ship is heading toward us," General Reiner said, his voice calm but filled with curiosity. He leaned closer to the command console, studying the data. "It's not taking evasive maneuvers. It's moving straight toward us." His second-in-command, Commander Threx, shook his head. "It's a mistake. It must be. Why would the humans send a single ship into our territory?" Reiner wasn't so sure. He knew that humans could be unpredictable, and while they were technologically inferior to the Vrillons, they weren't entirely helpless. He ordered the fleet to prepare for an intercept. It was unlikely that the human vessel posed any real danger, but he wasn't going to take any chances. "We'll send a warning first," Reiner decided. "Open a communication channel. Let's see if we can make contact." The crew quickly set up the communication systems, and Reiner's voice rang out across the dark space. "This is the Vrillon Empire. You are entering restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately, or we will be forced to take action." The human warship didn't respond. It just kept coming. Reiner frowned. "That's strange. No response? Try again." The command team worked quickly to re-establish communication, but each attempt to contact the ship failed. The human vessel remained silent, unyielding, moving forward without hesitation. Every time they tried to get a closer look, the ship seemed to vanish from their radar, only to reappear moments later, still heading toward them. "There's something wrong," Threx said, his voice tight with uncertainty. "It's like it knows we're trying to track it." Reiner stared at the blinking lights on the console. The ship was playing games with them. Every time they closed the gap, it disappeared from their sensors as if the human ship could somehow vanish into the very fabric of space. They could see it, but they couldn't track it. It was maddening. "I don't like this," Reiner muttered. "What is it, hiding?" As the alien fleet surrounded the human vessel, Reiner ordered the ships to move in. But still, The human warship didn't respond. It didn't try to evade them or even change course. It simply kept moving forward, straight into their trap. "I've never seen anything like this," Threx said, his eyes wide with disbelief. "How is it doing this? It's as if it's disappearing and reappearing at will." Reiner clenched his fists. "We've been patient. Now it's time to show the humans their place." He ordered the fleet to lock onto the human vessel and fire a warning shot. The bright beam of energy shot across the space toward the human ship, but once again something impossible happened. The energy blast disappeared. It didn't hit the human vessel. It simply vanished into the void. "What the hell?" Threx exclaimed. Reiner felt a chill run down his spine. He had never encountered a ship that could do something like this. How was the human warship able to evade every attack? It was as if the ship was disappearing, slipping through space, right in front of their eyes. "Get closer," Reiner ordered, his voice now tinged with frustration. "We need to force it into a corner. If it's not responding to us, maybe it will respond to force." The fleet moved in, closing the gap between them and the human ship. As the distance shrank, the human warship continued to move forward. It was as if the ship was going on a mission with no interest in the aliens surrounding it. And then, just when they thought they had it, the impossible happened again. The human vessel suddenly vanished from their radar. It wasn't just hidden, it was gone. The alien fleet tried to lock onto it, but it was as if the ship had never been there in the first place. "It's gone!" Threx shouted in disbelief. Where did it go? Reiner's mind raced. There was no way a ship could simply vanish like that. The human vessel had been right in front of them. How could it disappear so quickly? "Wait," Reiner said, his voice low. "The ship isn't gone. It's moving. It's moving faster than we can track." His suspicions were confirmed as the human warship reappeared on their radar, but this time it was much farther away. It had moved so quickly it was almost impossible to comprehend. The alien fleet tried to reposition, but once again, the human ship disappeared from view, slipping out of their reach. "This is not possible," Threx whispered. Reiner's fingers gripped the armrest of his command chair. What kind of technology was this? How could a human ship do something that even the most advanced alien vessels could not? He ordered the fleet to continue tracking the human warship, but each time they thought they had the ship cornered, it vanished again. The alien fleet was slowly being worn down by the constant game of cat and mouse. The human vessel was taunting them, outsmarting them at every turn. The human warship didn't seem to be in any hurry. It wasn't trying to escape, it was simply moving toward its destination. The question was, what was that destination? And why wasn't it responding to any of their attempts at communication? For hours, the chase continued, the human ship appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. The alien fleet was beginning to lose its patience. The leaders of the Vrelon Empire couldn't understand why they couldn't catch the ship. It was maddening. No matter how hard they tried, the human vessel always managed to slip away. "We have to stop this," Reiner said, his voice now cold with anger. "Prepare to fire every weapon we have. It's time to end this." But as the fleet prepared for its final assault, a strange feeling settled over Reiner. He couldn't shake the feeling that the human ship was not trying to escape. No, it was waiting. Waiting for the right moment to strike. Suddenly, the alien fleet's sensors went dark. The lights flickered, and the command center was plunged into darkness. "What is happening?" Threx shouted. "I don't know," Reiner replied, his voice filled with confusion and fear. Then, the human warship reappeared in front of them, so close they could almost touch it. It wasn't hiding anymore. It was here, right in front of them, and it was more powerful than they had ever imagined. The Vrelons had been chasing shadows, and now they were about to face the full force of humanity. The Vrelon fleet had the human ship cornered. For hours, they'd hunted it across the empty expanse of space, growing frustrated as the elusive vessel dodged their every attempt to capture it. Finally, after much struggle, it appeared they had the upper hand. The alien ships closed in, weapons charged, ready to annihilate the human intruder. Commander Reiner stood at the center of the command deck, his sharp eyes fixed on the view of the human ship on the screen. It was huge, intimidating, and clearly meant for battle. "This is it," Reiner muttered. He gave a quick glance to his second-in-command, Threx. "Prepare to fire. We end this now." The order echoed through the fleet, and with one collective motion, every Vrelon ship locked onto the human warship. A few moments later, a volley of energy blasts shot out from the fleet, lighting up the vast darkness of space. The beams sliced through the void with precision, aimed directly at the target. But then, something unexpected happened. The human ship didn't explode. Instead, it vanished. Reiner blinked, his heart skipping a beat. What just happened? He leaned forward, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Try to get a lock. What's going on with the target?" The view screens flickered as the human vessel disappeared from sight. The fleet's sensors buzzed with static, trying to find it again. But no matter how much they tried, the ship didn't reappear where it should have been. Instead, the sensors showed nothing. The ship had simply vanished. "It's gone," Threx said, his voice low and filled with disbelief. "How is that possible?" Reiner's mind raced. He was no stranger to advanced technology, but this was unlike anything he'd ever seen. The human ship had somehow disappeared, and it wasn't like it had evaded them or cloaked itself. No, it was as if the ship itself had vanished from the fabric of space. "We've lost it," Reiner muttered under his breath. He quickly ordered a full sweep of the surrounding area, hoping to find the ship. But just as the fleet began their search, something much more unsettling happened. A sudden, unmistakable communication signal flooded the command center. The transmission was short but clear. "Prepare for reinforcements." Reiner's eyes narrowed. Reinforcements? From who? He turned to his officer, his mind spinning. There's no way before he could finish his thought. The screens flickered once again. The Vrelon fleet sensors went haywire, flashing in every direction. And then, in a moment of terrifying clarity, Reiner saw it. More ships. Hundreds of them. The human warship hadn't been alone. It had only been a decoy. A series of ships, identical to the one they'd been chasing, appeared out of nowhere, filling the space around them. They came from every direction, their sleek forms cutting through the void with incredible speed. The ships had been hiding, concealed just beyond the range of the Vrelon fleet's sensors. And now, they had revealed themselves in the worst possible moment. Reiner's pulse quickened as he processed the realization. The fleet was surrounded. The human warship wasn't a lone vessel. After all, it was part of a much larger force, one that had been lurking just beyond their reach, waiting for the right moment to strike. "What? What is this?" Threx whispered, staring at the endless array of human ships that now filled the space around them. Reiner's mind raced. This couldn't be real. How had the humans managed to hide an entire fleet in plain sight? It was impossible. No technology, not even the Vrelon's advanced systems, could have missed so many ships. Yet, here they were, more than enough to take down the entire Vrelon fleet. Reiner's voice shook slightly as he issued orders. "All ships, prepare for battle." They'd been waiting for this moment. But even as the fleet readied itself for the inevitable clash, Reiner couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. The humans hadn't just sent in reinforcements, they had been playing a game, letting the Vrelons think they were dealing with a single ship. Now, they were trapped in a battle they hadn't even anticipated. The human fleet didn't waste time. Their ships moved as one, a synchronized assault that hit the Vrelon fleet from every side. Energy blasts rained down from all directions, striking with deadly precision. Reiner watched in horror as one of the Vrelon ships was obliterated in a single shot, its hull disintegrating in an instant. "Shields up," Threx shouted, his voice urgent. "Return fire." But the human fleet was too quick. The Vrelon ships, though powerful, were outmatched in speed and maneuverability. The humans darted in and out of the Vrelon formations, dodging every counterattack with terrifying skill. They were relentless, coordinated, as if they had trained for this exact moment. "We need to regroup," Reiner ordered, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Pull back and reassess. Get those reinforcements to the rear. But even as they attempted to regroup, the situation grew worse. More human ships materialized, emerging from the depths of space as if they had always been there, waiting for the right moment. It felt like the human fleet was everywhere, no matter where Reiner looked. Their numbers seemed endless. Suddenly, a new kind of weapon fired from the human ships, one that the Vrelons had never seen before. A bright, glowing beam shot through space, slamming into one of the Vrelons' capital ships. The blast was so powerful, it tore through the ship's shields in an instant, slicing straight through its hull. The ship exploded, scattering debris across the battlefield. Reiner's breath caught in his throat. The humans weren't just playing games anymore. They were serious. They were here to win. We can't hold them off like this. Threx exclaimed, his voice full of panic. Reiner clenched his fists. He had never faced a foe like this before. The humans were more organized, more prepared, and more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. They had been underestimated. As the battle raged on, Reiner's mind raced. He had to think fast. If they didn't find a way to turn the tide, the Vrelon fleet would be wiped out. But just as his thoughts began to clear, another message came through the fleet's communication systems. "Your fleet is finished," the voice of the human commander crackled over the intercom. "You've underestimated us, and now you'll pay the price." Reiner's blood ran cold. He knew they had been outplayed. The humans weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something much bigger. And with every passing second, the Vrelon Empire was losing. As the human warships closed in, Reiner realized with grim certainty the Vrelons were no longer in control of the situation. The war had just begun.